Hi, welcome to Training Mugs Java coding series. In this session, we'll talk about one of the very important topic in Java, that is working with arrays. So arrays is one of the very important topic for any interviewer. When you're attending an interview, you'll get a lot of coding questions and interview questions related to arrays. So in this session, we'll just try to understand the basic fundamentals about arrays. So let's look at the agenda of this session. So we'll just try to understand what is arrays in Java and why to use arrays. So what is it's necessary for working with programming, and we also try understanding basic programming in arrays, and we'll talk about single dimensional arrays. We also talk about working with array of references. Then we see multi-dimensional arrays. So first we'll try to understand what is an array. So by definition, array is a container object which holds a fixed number of elements of same type. This definition looks a bit complex, but in simple terms, Java is a group of homogeneous elements. Now the question comes like, what exactly is this, and then why we need an array? Okay, let us understand why we need arrays. As we understood, array is a group of homogeneous elements, but we need to understand why we need to create. Example, you want to create 100 variables of integer. So what generally we do? We create integer and then we create the variables. Example, I'm going to create here IDs. So I'm just going to create the variables with ID 1, ID 2, ID 3 and so on, ID 100. So how they are going to be stored in the memory? So depending upon the memory location, either they can be stored at stack or on heap, right? So if you understood, or if they can be stored on stack or on heap, so let us understand that this is a stack memory, and what exactly happens is ID1 occupies 4 bytes of memory and ID2 occupies 4 bytes of memory, that ID3 occupies 4 bytes of memory, so ID 100 also occupies 4 bytes of memory. So what basically happens whenever you manipulate these variables? Example, I want to store 111 in ID1. So when this instruction is getting executed, your interpreter will try to search the memory of ID1 to get this 4 bytes of memory and store this 111 value in terms of zeros and ones and store that into this 4 bytes of memory, right? And like that, for each and every variable, whenever you try to access ID2, then it has to search the memory to identify where ID2 is located. Like all these variables, your interpreter will search for that variables to manipulate the data. And whenever you want to manipulate, example, I want to update ID1 is equal to ID1 plus 10. So if I want to execute these instructions, whenever the variable is mentioned in an instruction, it is to go and then find out the memory and then have to try to update the value of it by identifying it. So when you're working on multiple variables of same type, so we do not guarantee them to be stored in contiguous memory locations. They'll be stored at different memory available either in stack or in heap. So it is always a good idea to store all these variables in contiguous memory locations, that is side by side, so that accessing those elements will become so easy, and then manipulating the elements also becomes faster. So example, if you want to store these 100 variables where each occupies 4 bytes, we just need to remember only the first memory of it, and each time you increment 4 bytes of memory, you're going to get the element which is stored at this particular memory location, instead of searching the whole stack or heap to identify individual variables. That's where arrays will come into the picture. So when you're creating these arrays, the very important point here is it always stores only homogeneous elements. Means what? Similar kind of data. So you can group only bytes together, or means what? You can create an array of bytes, or you can create array of shorts, or you can create array of ints. Like any primitive variables, you can create an array of it. The reason behind, because it will become easy to iterate through the whole array by just incrementing the number of the bytes of the memory it has to increase in order to identify the name. So, based on the learning so far, try to answer this simple quiz. The question number 1, identify the definition of an array, and here are the options. So try to answer the correct one and post your answers in the comment section below. The question number 2, what is true about an array in Java? And here are the options. And question number 3, so which of these statements are true about array in Java? So post all your answers along with the questions in the comment section below.